Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. SOP, which stands for Standard Operating Procedure, is a document set of step-by-step instructions or guidelines that an organization follows to perform routine operations or tasks. SOPs are created to ensure that processes are conducted consistently, effectively, safely, and within compliance with industry regulations or organization standards. They are commonly used in various fields such as uh, the healthcare, manufacturing, aviation, food services, or any other processes or industries. Just to outline some of the key points about standard operating procedures, and I'll touch on why it's so important for any business to standardize everything what they're doing. That would be consistency. Standard operating procedures provide standard the way of performing tasks, which helps maintain consistency in operations. This consistency is crucial for quality control and compliance with regulations. Training. Standard operating procedures serve as valuable training tools for new employees, helping them to learn to perform tasks correctly and effectively. Quality assurance. By following established procedures outlined in standard operating procedures, organizations can ensure that products or services meet specific quality standards. Compliance. In the regulatory industries, standard operating procedures are essential for ensuring compliance with laws, regulations, and industry standards. This is particularly important in fields such as healthcare, pharmaceuticals, and aviation, where they do have very high standards. Not to say that other industries don't, but if there's a lot of on the line, especially in some areas like insurance and everything, some some industries definitely looking at those kind of standards and perhaps ways of managing risk. Safety. Standard operating procedures often include safety protocols and guidelines to minimize the risk of accidents or injuries during exceptions of executions of tasks. Efficiency. Standard operating procedures can lead to increased efficiency by streamlining processes and reducing the likelihood of errors or delays. Documentation. Standard operating procedures are typically well documented and can serve as references for employees, auditors, and inspectors. Continuous improvement. Organizations can review and update standard operating procedures as needed to incorporate best practices and improve improvements in the process over time. In summary, standard operating procedures are essential tools for organizations to ensure that their operations run smoothly, consistently, and accordingly with established standards and regulations. For anyone who is interested to learn more, I would highly recommend purchasing my book. I have just released a book named Game Strategy. In the book, I'm sharing a lot of information for everyone who would like to understand better business and how to perform certain tasks with the business, how to be a good leader within your business, even if you're just starting out. Perhaps you currently doing research while trying to understand things about business and how to start a business, how to run business, how to invest in different businesses. There's a lot of information for everyone in this book. I'm sharing concepts and I'm using some comparisons that I do use within the book with video games and perhaps progression that new generations will have when it comes to understanding. I'm trying to, within the book and some of the concepts that I'm sharing, I'm trying to bring everyone up to speed as fast as I can. Either way, you can find this book in the description below, as well as the top retailers. Feel free to reach out to me, share your opinion, what you think about the book. Thank you. Creating a standard operating procedure yourself for a specific task or process involves several steps. You might consider beginning by identifying the process or a task, determine the specific task or process for which you want to create a standard operating procedure. It should be routine activity that requires clear instructions to consistent execution. Understand the process thoroughly, understand the process yourself. If you are not familiar with it, collaborate with subject matter experts or experienced individuals who can provide insights into the steps involved. Document the steps, write down each step of the process in a clear and concise manner. Use a logical sequence and avoid jargon or overly technical language. Include all necessary details such as equipment or a tool required, time frame, and many safety precautions. You might want to structure, give it a name, all the details. If you haven't done anything like that, you might want to reach out to me. I can guide you through the process. But overall, you might want to have a more visualized approach where it not necessarily be only words. The way how you can structure, you can begin. SOP should have at least perhaps 4 pictures, and up to perhaps 12 or a little bit more pictures. Then putting in text, it shouldn't be more than 2 sentences, and the text itself should be very direct. So you should give guidance to the person who would be performing this text, as well as showing you pictures with perhaps arrows that in different colors, what task needs to be performed at what point, and breaking down full process into steps. Include visuals. Visuals aids such as flowcharts, diagrams, or images can help clarify complex steps or decision points within the process. Specify responsibilities. Clearly define who is responsible for each step or task within the process. This ensures accountability. Step Set performance standards, if applicable, outline performance standards or quality expectations for each step. This helps maintain consistency and quality control. For example, if the person is going to be working in manufacturing, you might want to outline what that person should look for, or at the very least where to look for that standard. So you would give guidelines if not necessary. If standard is constantly moving, you might want to give reference to where to look for that standard. So there will be clear guidance of how to do it. Include troubleshooting and problem solving. Anticipate common issues or challenges that may arise during process and provide guidance on how to address them. Include troubleshooting steps or contingency plans, or perhaps for different tasks you might within your organization you might have particular people who would be responsible for those tasks. Would that be operations? Would that be personnel? Would that be quality? Perhaps when task engineering? You not necessarily so whatever tasks one might be on hand, you might direct that person to reach out to a particular person within an organization who would be responsible for a particular task. Safety precautions in the process. If the process involves potential risk, detailed safety precautions and guidelines to ensure the well-being of those involved. We using it depends depending on the industry. I would begin with that, especially highlight perhaps particular equipment that the person needs to use, something like gloves, especially if the person who is going to be handling something, particular tools and or chemicals. You might need to give that person instructions and make sure that that person is trained before performing particular task. Analyze format, incorporate feedback and make necessary revisions, as well as you might want to consider keeping a track of which version you're training all your staff on, just for paper trail, so you can trace it back of who's been trained on what standard, and if everyone's training is up to date, as well as there might be different people who you might want to consider having the knowledge and expertise sign off on that particular standard as well. That would be potentially another layer of protection. Approval, if required by your organization, seek formal approval from management or relevant authorities. There are many of those. There might be contractual agreements as well as if you are a supplier, you might reach out to your client and you might want to receive approval from them as well then implementing that. But you need to make sure that whoever is doing that, if it's not yourself, whoever is doing those standards, you might want to take a look at those standards yourself. Distribution and training. Distribute the finalized standard operating procedure to individuals who will use it. Provide training or orientation sessions to ensure everyone understands and can follow the procedures effectively. You might want to consider having one responsible person who would oversee it as all the standards at once, the special training, quality, or management and operations, so whichever way you're gonna structure your company. Regular updates. Standard operating procedures should not be static document. Periodically review and update them to reflect the changes in your process, technology, regulations, and best practices. Version control. Maintain version control to track changes and updates to standard operating procedures over time. This helps prevent confusion and ensures that everyone is using the latest version. Monitoring and compliance. Regulatory monitor adherence to the standard operating procedures and addressing any deviations promptly. Compliance is essential for the effectiveness of procedures. It requires a lot of time to cover everything in detail. I hope I shared enough information. If you would start slowly and if you need any guidelines or if you're interested perhaps in assistance, feel free to reach out to me. I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one.